This is Sai Charitra, Chapter 2. The objective of writing the work, Incapacity and Boldness in the Undertaking, the heated discussion, conferring the significant and prophetic title of Hemadpant, and the necessity of a guru. First, objective of writing the work. In the first chapter, I described Sai Baba's miracle of checking and destroying the epidemic of cholera by grinding wheat and throwing the flour on the outskirts of the village. I also heard about some more miracles of Sai Baba to my great delight, and this delight inspired me to write this poetic work. I also thought that the description of these grand miracles would be interesting and instructive to Baba's devotees, and it would destroy their sins. So, I began to write about the sacred life and teachings of Sai Baba. The life of the saint is neither logical nor dialectical. It shows us true and a gentle, great path. Incapacity and boldness in undertaking the work. Hemadpant initially believed that he was not fit to undertake this work. He said, "I do not know the life of my intimate friend, and nor do I even know my own mind. Then how can I write the life of a saint to describe the nature of incarnations, which even the Vedas were unable to do? One must be a saint himself before he could know other saints. Then how can I describe their glory? To write about the life of a saint is the most difficult of undertakings. One may as well measure the depth of water of the seven seas or enclose the sky with cloth. I knew that this was the most venturous of undertakings and that it might expose me to ridicule. I therefore invoked Sai Baba's grace."
Famous poet saint of Maharashtra, Sri Gnaneswar Maharaj, had stated that the Lord loves those who write about the lives of saints. The saints also have a peculiar method of getting the service, which the devotees long for, successfully accomplished. The saints inspire the work, and the devotee becomes merely an indirect cause or instrument to achieve this end. For instance, in the 1700 Shaka year, the poet Mahipati aspired to write about the lives of saints. Saints inspired him and got the work done. Similarly, in 1800 Shaka year, Das Ganu's service was accepted. The latter wrote 4 works: Bhakta Vijaya, Santa Vijaya, Bhakta Lilamrit, and Santa Kathamrit. In chapter 31, 32, and 33 of the Bhakta Lilamrit, and in chapter 57 of Santa Kathamrit, the sweet life and teachings of Sai Baba are very well depicted. These have separately been published in the Sai Leela magazine. The readers are requested to read these chapters. Sai Baba's wonderful Leelas are also described in a small book named Shri Sainath Bhajan Mala by Mrs. Savitri Bai Raghunath Tendulkar of Bandra. Das Ganu Maharaj has also composed various sweet poems on Sai Baba. A devotee named Amidas Bhavani Mehta has also published some stories about Baba in Gujarati. A few editions of Sainath Prabha, a magazine produced by Dakshin Bhiksha Sanstha of Shirdi, have also been published. Then one might ask the questions, since so many works regarding Sai Baba exist, why should this Sai Satcharitra be written? And what is the necessity?
Answer is plain and simple. The life of Sai Baba is wide and deep as the infinite ocean, and everyone can dive deep into it and take out precious gems of knowledge and devotion and distribute them to the aspiring public. The stories, parables, and teachings of Sai Baba are indeed wonderful. They will give peace and happiness to the people who are afflicted with sorrows and heavily loaded with the misery of this worldly existence, and will also bestow knowledge and wisdom both in the worldly and spiritual domains. If these teachings of Sai Baba, which are as interesting and intrusive as Vedic lore, are listened to and meditated upon, the devotees will get what they long for: union with the Brahman, mastery in eightfold yoga, bliss of meditation, etc. So, I thought that I should compile these stories, and thus that would be my best service. This collection would be very delightful to those simple souls whose eyes were not blessed with Sai Baba's darshan. So, I set about collecting Sai Baba's teachings and expressions, the outcome of his boundless and natural self-realization. It was Sai Baba who inspired me in this matter. In fact, I surrendered my ego at his feet. Thought that my path was clear and that he would make me quite happy here and in the next world. I could not myself ask Sai Baba to give me permission for this work. So, I requested Mr. Madhavrao Deshpande, Baba's most intimate devotee, to speak to him for me. He pleaded for my cause and said to Sai Baba, "This Anna Sahib wishes to write your biography, so don't say that you are a poor begging fakir and there is no need to write it. Instead, if you agree and help him, your feet, grace, will accomplish the work. Without your consent and blessings, nothing can be done successfully." When Sai Baba heard this request, he was moved and blessed. He blessed me by giving me his udi, sacred ashes, and placing his boon bestowing hand on my head and said, "Let him make a collection of my stories and experience and keep a note and memos. I will help him. He is only an outward instrument. I shall myself write my autobiography and satisfy the wishes of my devotees. He should get rid of his ego and surrender it at my feet. He who acts like this in life, him I help the most. And about my life stories, I serve him in his house in all possible ways. When his ego is completely annihilated and no trace of it remains, I myself shall enter into him and shall write about my own life. Hearing my stories and teachings will create faith in his devotees' hearts, and they will easily get self-realization and bliss. Let there be no insistence on establishing one's own view, no attempt to refute others' opinions, and no discussions of pros and cons of any subject." Discussion reminded me of my promise to explain the story behind my receiving the title of Hemadpant, and now I shall relate this story. I was very friendly with Kaka Sahib Dixit and Nana Sahib Chandorkar. They pressed me to go to Shirdi and receive Baba's darshan, and I promised them to do so. But something happened meanwhile which prevented me from going to Shirdi. The son of a friend fell ill. My friend tried all possible means, physical and spiritual, but the fever would not abate. At length, he got his guru to sit by the side on his son's bed, but this was of no avail. Hearing this, I thought to myself, what is the utility of the guru if he could not save my friend's son? If the guru can't do anything for us, why should I go to Shirdi at all? Thinking in this way, I postponed my Shirdi trip, but the inevitable must happen, and it happened in my case as follows. Mr. Nana Sahib Chandorkar was going to tour to Basai. From Thana, he came to Dadar and was waiting for a train bound for Bassein. In the meanwhile, a Bandra local train arrived. He sat in it and came to Bandra, sent for me, and took me to ask for putting off my Shirdi trip. Nana's argument in favor of my Shirdi trip was convincing and delightful, and so I decided to start for Shirdi the same night. I packed my luggage and started for Shirdi. I planned to go to Dadar and from there to catch my train to Manmad. And so I booked my ticket to Dadar and sat in the train. As the train was about to start, a Muslim man came hastily to my compartment and, seeing all my paraphernalia, asked me where I was going. I told him my plan. Then he suggested that I should go straight to Boribandar and not get down at Dadar, for the Manmad mail did not stop at Dadar at all. If this little miracle had not happened, I would have not reached Shirdi the next day as desired, and many doubts would have assailed me. But that was not to be. As fortune favored me, I reached Shirdi the next day before 10 am. Kaka Dixit was waiting for me there. This was the 1910, and there was only one place, Sathe's Wada, for lodging pilgrim devotees. After alighting from the Tanga, a small horse-drawn carriage, I was anxious to receive darshan. When the great devotee Tatya Sahib Nulkar returned from the masjid, he said that Sai Baba was at the corner of the Wada and that I should first receive Baba's preliminary darshan and then, after a bath, see him at leisure Hearing this, I ran and prostrated before Baba, and my jaw knew no bounds. I found more than what Nana Chandorkar had told me about. All my senses were satisfied and I forgot thirst and hunger. The moment I touched Sai Baba's feet, I began a new lease of life. I felt obliged to those who spurred on me and helped me to receive darshana. And I considered them my real relatives. I can never repay their debt. I can only remember them and prostrate mentally before them. The peculiarity of receiving Sai Baba's darshan, as I discovered, is that by receiving his darshan, our thoughts are changed. The force of previous actions are abated and gradually non-attachment or dispassion towards worldly objects grows. It is by the merit of actions in many past worlds that such darshan is attained, and if you see Sai Baba, the entire world becomes or assumes the form of Sai Baba. Discussion. The day I arrived in Shirdi, there was an argument between myself and Bala Sahib Bhate regarding the necessity of a guru. I contended, why should we lose our freedom and submit to others? When we have our own duty, why is a guru necessary? One must try his best and save himself. What can the guru do for a man who does nothing but sleeps inordinately? And Mr. Bhate took up the other side and said, whatever is bound to happen must happen. Even great men have failed. Man proposes one way, but God disposes the other way. Brush aside your cleverness. Pride or egoism won't help you. This discussion, with all its pros and cons, went on for an hour or so. And as usual, we did not arrive at a decision. We had to stop the discussion ultimately, as we were both exhausted. The net result of this was that I had lost my peace of mind and discovered that unless there is a strong body consciousness and egoism, there will be no argument. In other words, it is egoism which breeds argument. Bow to Shri Sai, peace be to all.